Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Australia stands with India in its fight against terrorism, says Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Defence Richard Marles during bilateral talks with Rajnath Singh in New Delhi. The United States doubles its tariffs on imported steel and aluminium from 25 to 50%. New US Ambassador to China David Perdue calls for healthy bilateral ties in his meeting with Foreign Minister Wang Yi. After President Masoud Pezeshkian, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei reiterates Tehran will not abandon its uranium enrichment, adding it would not seek Washington's approval for its decisions. The parliamentary delegation led by BJP MP Ravi Shankar Prasad is currently on its visit to the European Union headquarters in Brussels. The delegation was received by Ambassador Saurabh Kumar upon arrival in Brussels. Ambassador briefed the delegation about India's priorities and strategic agenda, including counter-terrorism cooperation. The all-party parliamentary delegation also paid floral tributes to Mahatma Gandhi at the embassy, reaffirming India's enduring commitment to peace, non-violence and tolerance. While speaking to media, Ravi Shankar Prasad stressed upon the need to talk about human rights of the victims of terrorism.
बेल्जियम हम लोग पहुंचे हैं, महात्मा गांधी जी पर पुष्पांजलि डाली है अभी। हम लोग को ब्रीफिंग भी दी है एम्बेसडर ने, यूरोपियन यूनियन, बेल्जियम, यहाँ की कम्युनिटी, अपना स्टैंड इन सबों को बताते हुए हम अपनी बात कहेंगे और हम लोग यहाँ ह्यूमन राइट्स की भी बात करेंगे कि आतंकवाद के जो विक्टिम हैं उनके भी ह्यूमन राइट की चर्चा होनी चाहिए।
Australia stands with India against the fight of terrorism. This is what the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, Richard Marles, said in his opening remarks during the bilateral meeting between the two defence ministers in New Delhi. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also apprised his Australian counterpart on the challenges India is facing on the Western Front.
The Australian Deputy Prime Minister, who also holds the defence portfolio, was given a guard of honour at the Manekshaw Centre in Delhi on Wednesday. He was accompanied by the Defence Minister of India, Rajnath Singh. The two defence ministers are accompanied by the top military brass and officials of both countries. In his welcome address, Rajnath Singh said that India is facing extreme challenges on the Western Front in response to the dastardly attack in Pahalgam in Kashmir.
I wish to mention that this meeting is happening at a time when India is facing extreme challenges at our western border. And we have taken steps in response to barbaric incident in Kashmir. We thank Australia for its support on this issue. We shall be talking more about this later in the meeting.
The Australian Deputy Prime Minister expressed his solidarity with India against terrorism. Richard Marles, who also holds the defence portfolio, said that India and Australia are close partners in defence and maritime security.
We want to make clear that Australia stands with India and all countries in combating terrorism. We acknowledge and we welcome the stoppage in military activity. We see this as an act of Indian leadership. But we will continue to work with India as we combat terrorism in all its forms.
The Deputy Prime Minister of Australia, Richard Marles, is the first senior Australian minister to visit India after the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese retained power for the second term. Marles's visit to India is part of a four-nation visit to South and Southeast Asia from June 2 to June 5 for high-level meetings. With Nandita Dagar, Vishal Barristow's report for DD India.
Earlier, Richard Marles visited the National War Memorial in New Delhi and paid tributes to the fallen heroes by laying a wreath at the memorial. The visit coincides with the 5th anniversary of Australia and India's comprehensive strategic partnership, which underpins the relationship and shared vision for the Indian Ocean. Defence and security are key pillars of the comprehensive strategic partnership, with both nations committed to peace, stability and a rules-based order in the Indo-Pacific. Australian Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles met PM Modi. Both the leaders held a productive discussion on deepening the India-Australia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, which marks its 5th anniversary today. The India-Australia collaboration is guided by a shared vision for a stable, secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific. United States President Donald Trump's increased tariffs on imported steel and aluminium from 25% to 50% came into effect on Wednesday. The US President announced an increase in tariffs on May 30th, ratcheting up pressure on global steel producers and deepening his trade war. The move has marked the latest salvo in Trump's trade wars, bringing levies on both metals from 25% to 50%. But tariffs on metal imports from the UK will remain at 25% rate, while both sides work out duties and quotas in line with the terms of their earlier trade pact. Mexico will request an exemption from the United States' newly increased steel tariffs. The announcement came after US President Donald Trump officially raised tariffs on imported steel to 50%. Mexico Economy Minister Marcelo Ebrard has criticized the move, arguing that the United States currently holds a trade surplus with Mexico and that tariffs should be used in cases of trade deficits.
En primer lugar, no creo que se puedan sostener en el tiempo.
First, I don't think these tariffs can be sustained over time because, as has happened with tariffs before, they will need to be adjusted due to their significant economic impact. Second, I think it's unfair to Mexico because the United States has a trade surplus with Mexico. It makes no sense to put a tariff on a product where you have a surplus.
Y tercero,
now, US President Donald Trump and new German Chancellor Friedrich Merz are meeting in Washington this week. It's the first time the two leaders are meeting face-to-face, and it will be the first official trip to the US as a Chancellor for Merz. So, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is prepared to fight for the core values of Europe and is going to meet Donald Trump. And we'll be joining shortly with more details on the story with our DW correspondent Emily Leshner in Berlin. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz came to power in an explicit response to Trump administration's repeated criticisms of the European Union. So we will try and connect with Emily Leshner in Berlin very shortly. So President Donald Trump on Wednesday described Chinese President Xi Jinping as very tough and extremely hard to make a deal with. His comments come just days after he accused Beijing of violating a trade agreement, further highlighting the ongoing tensions in bilateral relations. Trump's remarks were made on the Truth Social, where he expressed continued affection for President Xi, but stressed that there is a great deal of difficulty in negotiating with China. Amid the trade wars going on between the United States and China, the leaders of the two countries are meeting to build a healthy and stable bilateral relationship. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on Tuesday welcomed new U.S. Ambassador to China, David Perdue. The Chinese foreign minister has emphasized the critical juncture of China-US relations, highlighting that equality, respect, dialogue and cooperation are crucial for progress. Paraguay's President Santiago Peña Palacios attended the event at IMC, Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Mumbai. During the event, the president highlighted Paraguay's benefits, including ample clean energy, strategic location, economic stability, and a business-friendly environment. Over 100 Indian startup CEOs from key sectors like logistics, transportation, energy, and pharmaceuticals are keen to explore Paraguay as a regional hub. Paraguay president also met with Maharashtra's Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, sharing it on social media platform X. Maharashtra Chief Minister wrote, our enriching dialogue explored promising avenues for collaboration between Maharashtra and Paraguay. India's Commerce and Industry Minister commenced his official visit to Italy. The two-day visit is scheduled for June 4th and 5th, following the conclusion of his engagements in France focused on advancing India-France economic cooperation. From high-level meetings with French officials to engaging with the CEOs and the India-France Business Conference, his visit is focused on boosting trade, innovation and investment. A report.
India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal wrapped up his three-day visit to Paris today. His visit was focused on strengthening trade ties between India and France and boosting economic cooperation with Europe. During his stay, Mr. Goyal met with CEOs of leading French companies like Renault, EDF and L'Oréal to discuss investments, business partnership and future trade opportunities. He also held talks with the trade and commerce ministers from several countries like Nigeria, Saudi Arabia and Israel. A major highlight was meeting with the Director General and ministers of the World Trade Organization, where they discussed expanding India's role in global trade. Following the meeting, the WTO Director General said the discussions covered important topics such as agriculture issues, WTO reforms and preparations for the upcoming 14th WTO Ministerial Conference.
India is a leading country and India is doing well. So India needs to open the way for other developing countries. For example, on investment facilitation for development, we want India to support because so many developing countries, 90 out of the 126 who are members would like to move with this.
During this Paris visit, Minister Piyush Goyal also discussed the progress of the free trade agreement talk between India and the European Union. He stressed the importance of fair and mutually beneficial agreement. French Trade Minister reiterated the EU's commitment to moving forward, stating that cross-investment and trade partnership with India are key to the region's economic future, which could unlock major opportunities for the both regions in terms of trade, investment and job creation.
Minister Goyal came with a great business delegation from India, more than 50 companies, so it means a lot first to us, because we are living in very troubled times in terms of global trade, and what we do believe in, India and France, is that we have to strengthen our ties. And how we can do that? Both ways. First, European Union and India are working on a free trade agreement. And of course, we are fully supporting the European Commission and the Commissioner Šefčovič that is working very well.
Mr. Goyal also attended India-France Business Conference in Paris, where he invited and explained the potential market they would have in India to encouraging stronger ties within the business community. This is Rohini Gosavi in Paris for DD India.
So Germany's new Chancellor Friedrich Merz will travel to Washington to meet US President Donald Trump on Thursday. It is the first time the two leaders are meeting face-to-face and the first official trip to the US as Chancellor for Merz. And joining us with more details is Deutsche Welle correspondent Emily Leshner from Berlin. Hi, Emily. Considering Germany is trying to revitalize its economy, how crucial is this meeting of Chancellor Merz with President Trump?
Well, this meeting could be very crucial. The steel and aluminum tariffs have just gone into effect. That's 50% tariffs on imports coming into the U.S. And if Europe and the White House can't agree on a deal by July 9th, then Europe will also see 50% tariffs on all other EU imports coming into the U.S. Germany is facing a recession, and its manufacturing sector, which relies on these materials, particularly the auto sector, is not doing very well. So Merz has a big incentive to find a solution by the new deadline and to possibly come up with a good deal when he's meeting with Trump this week.
Okay, Merz hasn't been in office very long. Does he have enough of a relationship with Trump to be able to negotiate with him when other EU leaders haven't been able to exactly do that?
Well, I think the fact that he doesn't have much of a history or relationship with Trump yet might be what could work to his advantage at the moment. Trump and Merz at least appear to have gotten off on the right foot. Merz is staying at the official guest house of the White House. That's considered to be an honor. There's also going to be a press conference and a luncheon. German media is also reporting that Trump and Merz are now on a first-name basis and have swapped cell phone numbers. So Merz has made foreign policy a major focus so far, and he seems to be positioning himself as an important broker between the White House and Europe, similar to what we have seen with French President Emmanuel Macron and Trump. Merz and Trump don't always see eye to eye, though. For example, Trump wants NATO members like Germany to increase their financial contributions to 5% of their GDP. This is something that Merz insisted during his election campaign that Germany wasn't in a position to do and would not do, though now he does seem to have come around to the idea through a proposal that's being drafted by NATO's head Mark Rutte. So Trump might take this as a sign that Merz is willing to negotiate and come around to his perspective. That could help Merz in the future, but we may see some friction points when the finer points of these kinds of proposals are being discussed, and of course when it comes to trade negotiations as well. So they seem to be getting along right now. It's not sure how long this harmony will last, of course.
Okay, thank you very much, Emily Leshner, reporting from DW Berlin. At the BRICS ministerial meeting on information and communication technology, the group has unanimously decided to have cooperation in 4 strategic areas of connectivity, space sustainability, environmental sustainability, and digital ecosystem governance. The meeting held in Brasilia had a strong Indian presence as the country was represented by Minister of State for Telecommunication, Dr. P. Chandrasekhar. The minister spoke to DD India's Shobhan Saxena at the Indian Embassy in Brasilia before flying home on Tuesday.
We have with us Mr. Chandrasekhar Pemasani, Minister of State for Telecommunications and Rural Development, Government of India. He's in Brasilia to participate in the BRICS Telecommunications Conference. Sir, could you please tell us about the purpose of your visit and how was the visit?
So we're part of BRICS nations when it comes to telecommunications. This year theme, there are 4 priorities, strategic priorities: environmental sustainability, satellite-based sustainability, and then meaningful connectivity, and digital ecosystem. These are the major themes. I'm mainly here to tell what India has achieved in all these 4 areas over the especially last 10 years, and also participate and learn what the rest of the world is doing so that we can take the telecom to the next level.
And how was that experience?
Experience has been quite good. And I am actually proud to say that India has achieved what was unthinkable 10, 15 years ago. And we have showcased all the things that we have done to the rest of the world. And there are certain things that I also learned from here. So all in all, a well-rounded conference.
So what is the message you're taking back to New Delhi from here?
So one of the themes is, while we have connected the entire country, meaningful connectivity has a different definition here. They are also including the quality of the service, the affordability, and there are other metrics that are being. Even though we do that individually, we don't have a proper systematic framework. And that kind of meaningful connectivity framework is something we could implement.
Thank you so much, sir. Talking to DD India. Thanks a lot.
On to some weather updates now. The northeastern states of India are grappling with severe floods in the aftermath of the devastating landslide that struck North Sikkim. The Indian Army is working relentlessly under extreme weather conditions and hazardous terrain to assist local residents and stranded tourists. Lashen village, a major hub for tourism in the region, has been completely cut off. The army has established foot connectivity to the village and reached 113 stranded tourists who will be evacuated soon. The Indian Air Force's Mi-17 helicopters airdropped relief supplies, deployed NDRF teams and evacuated 33 stranded individuals, including 2 US nationals from the remote Chaten region. Meanwhile, search operations continue with urgency to locate the 6 individuals still missing after the landslide struck the military camp in Chaten. In Assam, the flood situation remains critical. 21 districts of the state have been affected and more than 6 lakh people impacted by the first wave of floods this year. Rescue and relief operations are ongoing in the affected areas, with district administration working continuously to provide aid. So far, 511 relief camps and distribution centers have been set up across the state. More from Asia. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, on Wednesday rejected a key US demand to abandon its uranium enrichment program. Iranian leader said that Tehran will not abandon any of its nuclear plan. The US proposal for a new nuclear deal was presented to Iran on Saturday by Oman. After 5 rounds of talks, several hard-to-bridge issues remain, including Iran's insistence on maintaining uranium enrichment on its soil and Tehran's refusal to ship abroad its entire existing stockpile of highly enriched uranium, possible raw material for nuclear bombs.
The rude and arrogant leaders of America repeat this demand in various ways. The Americans' first demand is that you should not have a nuclear industry at all. Iran should not have a nuclear industry. You should depend on us for radiopharmaceuticals, medicine, energy, desalination equipment, and dozens of other important fields. You should have no nuclear program.
Earlier, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian also quoted that Tehran would not bow to pressure by the United States to dismantle its nuclear program. Tehran said it wants to master nuclear technology for peaceful purposes and has long denied accusations by Western powers that it is seeking to develop nuclear weapons. South Korea's new president Lee Jae-myung vowed to reach out to the nuclear-armed North and heal wounds as he took office on Wednesday after winning the snap elections. Lee scored a thumping victory over conservative Kim Moon-soo in snap elections, with his term beginning immediately after the vote tally was certified early Wednesday. Lee spoke to South Korea's top military commander and formally assumed operational control of the country's armed forces on Wednesday, urging them to maintain readiness in case of Pyongyang's provocations. However, the South Korean president in his first address vowed to pursue dialogue with Pyongyang and improve ties with Seoul's nuclear-armed neighbor. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Lee Jae-myung on his election as South Korea's president. In a message on X, Prime Minister Modi expressed optimism about collaborating with Lee to bolster India-Republic of Korea special strategic partnership. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Spring's arrival in Uzbekistan signals the start of the crucial silk farming season from April and May. As mulberry leaves flourish, silkworms are emerging, and local women in Chinaz district of Tashkent have already begun the delicate process of collecting cocoons. Australian authorities have abandoned efforts to eradicate the highly contagious tomato brown rugose fruit virus, declaring it technically not feasible to eradicate. Queensland will keep restrictions on the movement of tomatoes, chilies and capsicums. Despite the change in strategy, the virus was first detected in South Australia last year and it's since been found on a farm in Victoria. In a significant effort to combat plastic pollution, nearly 700 residents and local authorities in Hue City in central Vietnam recently participated in a massive cleanup campaign across the city's beaches with a strong focus on popular tourist destinations. This initiative, regularly held in response to World Environment Day, highlights the ongoing commitment to restoring greenery in Hugh's 120-kilometer coastline and vast lagoon areas. And Japanese researchers have engineered a novel plastic that rapidly dissolves in seawater, potentially addressing the growing global issue of ocean plastic pollution. Co-developed by the University of Tokyo, this new material maintains the strength of conventional plastics while being entirely dissolvable. This stands in contrast to many existing biodegradable plastics that often leave behind harmful microplastics. That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live, and you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.